Hi everyone, it's me Gaming Jew, and welcome to round 2 or B of tier list number 10. As today we are finally again going to be doing another animation studio. One of what is considered one of the weaker animation studios. One day I am probably going to remake both my Pixar and DreamWorks tier list, as there has been a lot more movies since I made those videos released. But for today, we're going to be doing Illumination, which admittedly to me has some pretty damn good films, but it also has some films that are not so good. So, why don't we go over our tiers next, which are Brilliant, which I think are the best Illumination films. Really, there's only going to be two on there. Fun, which is films that I think are really good, but not perfect. Good, which I think are films that are good, nothing more, nothing less. Which, spoiler, is probably where a lot of Illumination films are going to end up. And Minions, which you'll find out what that means later. But let's get on with our Illumination tier list, guys. I hope you guys like this. Let's start this baby up. Alright, so we're starting with Despicable Me 1. I think it's the best Illumination film, even after the Super Mario Brothers movie. I truly think this is one of two Illumination films that are damn near flawless. Yes, I know. Most people will say there's not a single Illumination film that's flawless, and I agree. But there are two to me that are damn near flawless. Or at least one. This is the one film that I think is like a 9.5 out of 10 for me. Maybe a little bit of a nostalgia bias, but I think the story of this film is very well handled. I think the concept is very unique for the time. The Minions weren't really all that bad at all in this film. Gru really has great character development in this film. I think the film is very funny and very memorable. This may be a little bit of nostalgia talking for me because I think a lot of people who reviewed this film back in the day were millennials, while I'm a member of Gen Z, I guess you could say. So I grew up with this film a little. I'm probably older Gen Z, kind of felt the same as most millennials too, but I'm more. I don't know if I'd call. I'm probably still older Gen Z, as I was born in 2001, but I was probably at the age where I could just about appreciate this film without too many complaints. And I rewatched this film probably about 6 months ago or so, and I still think this is their best film to date. Even more than the Mario movie. Now, Hop, on the other hand, I think is just an film. Not really much going for it. I like that it's one of the few feature-length films to be released about Easter, but I can't remember a heck of a lot about this film, but from what I can remember, it's about the Easter Bunny's son trying to take over, or the Easter Bunny wants his son to take over his lineage and stuff like that, but then he meets James Marsden, who James Marsden was with a much better CGI character, I believe 9 years later when he was in Sonic the Hedgehog, but in Hop, not really too much I like about the film. I think the CGI is cringeworthy. I think the Easter Bunny pooping jelly beans is just eh. I kind of like seeing Kaylee Cuoco in the movie, but even that can't really save this film from being definitely one of Illumination's weakest films. I don't think it's their absolute weakest film, but I think it's among them. The Lorax. Whew. I'm probably gonna get hated for this. maybe, I don't know if good is a little bit of a stretch, but you know what? I had a fun time with this film. And maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia glasses for me and stuff like that, like I said with the original Despicable Me, but I had a fun time with this film. I rewatched this film. It has been 2 or 3 years since I rewatched it. I think the last time I watched it was 2019. When I found the Blu-ray for like a 50 cents, I said, I'm gonna buy it. You know what? It's 50 cents at a yard sale. I guess I'll buy it. That's when I got that and the original Despicable Me. Anyways, The Lorax is a very fun movie. It's memeable as hell and stuff like that. Danny DeVito is extremely fun as the Lorax. I don't know if I'd call it a good movie. You know what? As a matter of fact, I am going to put a tier below here and say guilty pleasure. I'll turn that into pink. Oh. Okay, we're going to adjust this real quick. Stay patient, guys. And good. We will turn that into this. Okay, there you go. The Lorax is a guilty pleasure for me. I don't know if it's necessarily good, but I think it's a guilty pleasure. I have a lot of fun with it. Despicable Me 2, I think, is fun. It's not as good as the original, definitely not, but it's a lot of fun. I think Lucy, the new love interest for Gru, is very fun. I think the Minions did start to get a little bit annoying in this film. This is the start of their annoying track record, but they weren't quite as annoying as in the later Despicable Me universe films. But I think this film is really good. I like the bond between Gru and the girls and stuff like that. Not as much as the original, but I think this is yet again another good film. I think Despicable Me, for the most part, in the series is pretty good. 2 out of 3 of their films in the pure Despicable Me franchise is good. Alright, Minions. Yeah, there's not a lot to like about this film. It's not the worst animated movie of all time or anything. I think in ways it is a little bit overhated, but I do think it's probably the studio's worst film. It's just really irritating seeing these sentient beings who, it's basically the polar opposite of WALL-E, where WALL-E didn't have a lot of words but was super charming. This film only has like babbling and like super annoyance. I still think this is only like a maybe 3.5 or 4 out of 10. Well, I think even Pixar has worse film than that in Cars 2, but still, a lot of what people have said about this film is true. It's just really irritating, has a stupid plot, and it's a stupid movie. The Secret Life of Pets. Okay, I'll be honest. I'm very split between putting this in good or guilty pleasure. I think ultimately I have to lean into guilty pleasure, because it does borrow a lot of beats from Toy Story and stuff like that. That's been said a million times before. But, you know what? That doesn't make it a really bad film, because I'm a dog lover and I love dogs to death, so I guess you could say that gives it a little more, I can give it a little more credit for that. And you know what? It is a fun movie that I can just sit down and laugh at and have a good time. It's not necessarily, it's nowhere near the best of Pixar or anything. Did I give this film like a 10 out of 10 in 2016? No, it's not. It's more like a 6.5 probably. But I think this film is pretty fun. I have a good time with it. Sing. Okay, honestly, some people say this film is pretty good. I disagree. I don't think it's bad, but there's not a lot I like about this film. I like the little Seth MacFarlane mouse. I think that's pretty funny. Other than that, there's not a ton I like about this film. I think most of the other performances are kind of generic. I think this is really when I started to realize Illumination is nowhere near the best animation studio. And for me, a lot of people disagree with me, but I think this is just among Illumination's tier. And unfortunately, I have to say that about Despicable Me 3. It's not a bad movie, but it's nowhere near as good as the first two, in my opinion. Um, Gru is pretty good in this film. The Minion prison side plot is basically nothing to me. The girl's side plot is alright, I guess you can say. But Drew is the biggest thing for this movie. Gru has a twin brother. Okay, that's your biggest thing about the movie? I don't buy it. But there is one thing that I like about this film, and that is, I don't even know his name, but Trey Parker's character in this film, the villain, is freaking awesome. I love him. He's probably my, no, you can't be Vector, but I like him probably more than El Macho, honestly. But other than that, I'm not a huge fan of Despicable Me 3. I gotta put it in the tier. Okay, wow. 3 in a row. Or, no. I'm gonna put it in guilty pleasure. I know a lot of people actually really don't like this film, thinking it's not good at all. I think out of all the Grinch films, it is by far the worst of the three. I think it suffers from a lot of out of character moments from the Grinch. Like, the Grinch is too nice in this film. And what the heck did they do with Cindy Lou Who? She's basically just some freaking, almost reminds me of Edith from the Despicable Me movies, I guess you could say. It kind of reminds me of her. I don't really feel that with Cindy Lou Who. She's sort of a shy girl and stuff like that, portrayed in the original and the Jim Carrey version, which unpopularly my favorite is the Jim Carrey version. That's one of my favorite Christmas movies, period. But the Illumination Grinch is by far my least favorite of the Grinch films, but you know what? I never mind watching it. I have a fun time with it overall. It's just, it's not really well made. It does have some big flaws, but it can get me into the holiday season just fine. So you know what? I will put it in guilty pleasure. Secret Life of Pets 2, you know what? Harrison Ford in this movie is cool, but other than that, what they did with, God, I can't even remember the bunny rabbit's name, but whatever they did with him, Kevin Hart's character, as basically a superhero, what was the point of that? And Max's storyline was nowhere near as good in this film. It's just, it's a very forgettable film for only being like 4 years old. There's not much to it, and that's all I gotta say. Oh, good God. Why? Well, it looks like we got another. I'm not a big fan of the first thing, and I'm not a big fan of the second one either. I actually think the second one is slightly better, but still, to me, Sing 2 is just more of the same as the original. I like the songs in the movie a little bit better, but still, I can't give it above an Oh my God. Is this like, this is gonna be the sixth on this list. But I gotta give Minions The Rise of Gru an but I will put it at the top because I did have some fun with it. I won't put it in guilty pleasure quite because while I did have some fun with this film, it was pretty flawed. The minions were still pretty damn annoying in this film. I liked seeing young Gru a lot, but mostly everything else about the film is very generic to annoying. So I can't give it any higher than that. But, eh. And last but not least, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You know what? This isn't a perfect movie. I don't think any movie on this list is perfect, but the Super Mario Brothers movie is my second favorite Illumination film, and the only other film that I think is close to on par with the original Despicable Me. I think it's incredibly fun. I love all the references to the Super Mario franchise. The bond between Mario and Luigi is exactly what I wanted to see. I like seeing that Peach for once wasn't the damsel in distress. I love seeing all the cameos, all the references. Jack Black's Bowser is the highlight of the entire film for me. So much freaking fun seeing him give it his all, especially in the Peaches song, which is the highlight of the entire movie for me. This film is freaking awesome. Not the best made film, but you know what? As a Mario fan, I can't help but just give this film an absolute brilliant. Alright, yes, this was a relatively short tier list because I don't have as much to say about Illumination films, but I felt like doing Illumination before I do Blue Sky, which will be coming up relatively soon. Let me just rank these films here to see if I can get a ranking. Let's do, I will put, I think I'm actually going to put Hop at the absolute bottom. Pets 2, I think, is going to go above Sing, which is going to be below Despicable Me 3, and that's pretty good. I'm going to put The Secret Life of Pets over the Lorax, and this looks good. Okay, how many is there now here? 6, 7, 10. I believe we're on 13 Illumination films. Alright, number 13, Minions. Number 12, Hop. Hop is just almost a WTF, what the frick film. It's like, what went through the person's mind making this? I almost think this film is bad, actually, but you know what? Purely probably just because it's an Easter film for once, I can give it a little bit higher of a rating, but this is nowhere near as much as like the Rankin Bass Easter special, Here Comes Peter Cottontail or something like that, so Hop is just, 11, Sing. I don't like the characters that much outside of Seth MacFarlane, Mouse. I think the songs are alright, but mostly forgettable, which is the whole point of the movie, and that just gives you a lot of points down. Number 10 is going to be Pets 2. Nowhere near as good as the original for me. It's not a guilty pleasure. It's just so many different side plots make this film confusing and boring. 9, Despicable Me 3, by far the worst of the Despicable Me films. I don't like seeing that. I guess Gru has a twin brother named Drew, which is just like kind of cringeworthy that their names rhyme. Minion side plot is honestly crap, and it has a few funny moments in it, but I can't give it above an 8, Sing 2, a little bit better than the original. I like the songs a little more, but still, We're on 7 now, Minions, The Rise of Gru. I love seeing young Gru, but everything else surrounding that is just not very good at all. 6, The Grinch. by far the worst Grinch film for me, but if I want to put on a film for the holidays, this isn't the absolute worst one for me. Bringing us into the top 5 is The Lorax. This is a guilty pleasure movie for me. It's not a very good movie, but I have a ton of fun with this film and can honestly just sit down and have a brain dead laugh with it. 4. The Secret Life of Pets. Borrows a lot of aspects from Toy Story, but you know what? I do have a really good time with this film whenever I watch it. And at least it doesn't have a billion side plots like its sequel, so yeah, I'm gonna give it number 4. 3. Despicable Me 2. Not quite as good as the original, but it is way better than most Illumination films, and it's really good time. I love the introduction of Lucy into the series, and the minions weren't quite that annoying, but they did have their annoying moments in this film. But this film is a lot of fun. Number 2, the Super Mario Brothers movie. As a big Nintendo and Mario fan, seeing this film on the big screen was such a freaking experience, and seeing all the Nintendo references and stuff like that is so much fun. I love this film, but not quite as much as number 1, which is the original Despicable Me. This film holds a very special place in my heart. I remember renting this film when it came out on demand and watching it with my family, and we had a really good time watching this film, so that may be part of it. But rewatching it as an adult, I think it's still a really good movie with very funny moments, a great villain, a great bond between Gru and the girls, so I have to say, this is my favorite Illumination film. Alright, so that's going to do it for this round of tier list, the 10th round of tier list. Hope you guys enjoy. I don't think we'll be getting any tier list in August since we did 2 rounds in July. But I don't have much more to say besides that. Hope you guys like this. Gaming Do here, and see you later. Bye.